Hi, I'm Donna Joy Usher, and welcome to Living Through Heart. So it's been a little while since I shot a video. I shot a whole heap, and then I went away to Europe, and I went away for pretty much I was away for 6 or 7 weeks, and I it was massive for me. I went to a retreat just before I left, and then I went over to Brisbane and I stayed with my family for a week. And you know how that always triggers up lots of lovely, juicy stuff to work on. And then I went over to Tenerife in Spain and Portugal, and I facilitated a retreat over there that's being held by Breed to the Roots. So my beautiful friends Keith Hodge and David and Chantel Jennisand, who run that. And it was amazing. The whole thing was amazing. And I got so much out of it. And I had so much growth and development out of the whole thing. There's so many things I want to share with you, so many things that I've decided within my own life and shifts and changes that are really happening for me. But really, what I want to talk about is one of the main things that I found when I was in Tenerife. So I went to Tenerife. So, for those of you who know, Tenerife is actually part of Spain, but it's in the Canary Islands, which is kind of more off Africa. And my one of my good friends, Charlotte, who I've worked with in her business, and she trained me as a hypnotherapist and she trained me as a sales coach. And basically, I am where I am today, doing what I am doing because I met Charlotte. So I went and stayed with Charlotte, and we had actually never met before. So we've been working together for 5 years, and we finally met, and it was beautiful. It was so nice to actually be with her and to hold her and to hug her and to stay with her and to meet all her friends. And a lot of my clients are actually over there as well, because one of the businesses that I help her with now is the Ultimate Hypno Coach, which is where we train analytical hypnotherapists and psychotherapists, and we put them through an actual certified diploma in that. And one of my roles as COO is actually do therapy on a lot of the trainees coming through. So I do the hypnotherapy on them so that they can learn, well, one, clear their own channel so that they can have hypnotherapy, because you shouldn't really be doing therapy or coaching unless you are in coaching or in therapy yourself, or doing your own work in some way, having come through therapy and continuing your own work and continuing to basically clear yourself and clear your channel. So a lot of those people there are clients of mine, friends of hers. And what I really got and what I really realized from staying with her was the importance of intimacy and connection. And she lives she has a house, and she's kind of a little bit of a community there. So she's got a few flatmates that live with her, and people that she's actually basically supporting and helping, and now giving them opportunities. And so, some of them have trained and are training as hypnotherapists, and basically giving them a safe space to be in while they kind of work their self out and get themselves back on their feet financially. And it's a really beautiful energy. I mean, the house is beautiful. It's up on the hill in Tenerife, overlooking the water, and it's got these beautiful big balconies. And it's like, and it's near the national park. And we were walking her dog in the mornings, and then going and catching up with other friends and other people. And there's this really beautiful spiritual community there. But within the house itself, too, and within the community, when when I would wake up in the morning, I would come into the kitchen, and whoever was there, you would go and hug. And not just a hug like the way we get taught to hug. Well, I don't know. In your family, maybe it was different, but most of it's kind of like this: you hug because you're taught you have to. And maybe we have some people that we hug and we really hug and we mean it. But I've had some more beautiful hugs with people that I don't even know, when I've gone to certain events and things, and people who are just opening their heart to you as a person and seeing who you are and holding you in that, and not projecting or transferring anything onto you of what they need or want you to be. And I've had some more beautiful hugs from people whose names I have only just found out than I have from friends and family that I've known for years. And it's because of the way we are. And I think we get it wrong in the majority. Well, and I'm talking about the culture that I was brought up in. And a lot of countries, obviously, this isn't the same, where they do kind of almost still live in almost like a tribe where the family units are still together. But in Australia and Australians, we tend to isolate ourselves. It's like we grow up, we get a boyfriend, girlfriend, we get married, we create our own little unit. We get a box that we live in, we go into the box and we breed, we have children. Sorry, it sounds bad. We have children, we create a family, right? And we're isolated within that. That's not really a real sense of community. And quite often, once people have children, they kind of drop off the radar because they're so busy with the children and getting out as a struggle, or the child's routine, or things like that. And they don't tend to get out into public as much. But even without children, we tend to go into this nest in this box, and then we expect to get all of our intimacy and connection needs from our partner. And that's really just not fair. And we need to be able to get intimacy and connection needs. And when I'm talking about intimacy and connection, I'm not talking about having sex with somebody, because you can have sex with somebody and have zero intimacy or connection there. I'm talking about heartfelt relationships with people, or relating with people, or being open for people and having people be open for you, and actually holding space for you to turn up and be who you are, instead of trying to get you to conform to what they need you to be for them to feel safe. And when you come into an environment like that, where people are just open to who you are, and they've learned how to not make everything mean something about themselves, and they're able to listen to what you say and not get too terribly triggered. Like, I'm not saying people don't get triggered at all, but it's more like they're more open to listening and hearing your side of a story, and then reflecting on that, and then coming back with what their story then is on that. When you are in that and you feel the difference in that, it shows a real problem with a lot of how we live in society today, where we're just trying to get what we need to be safe, and we need to feel loved, or we need to feel worthy, and we end up trying to get it from our partner. And the problem is that a lot of the time, if we can't get our intimacy and connection needs from other people, friends, family, and we can only get it from a partner, then we have to be in a relationship with somebody, or we have this clawing need and this desire. And it took me a long time to work this out, because after I left my husband, I was, I was going to say I was single. I'm still single. I kept myself apart and alone for a very long time, and even kind of like isolating myself from friends and family in a way. And I was like a dog licking its wounds and trying to work out who I was. And I also had this belief that I had to be strong enough and be able to be okay by myself all of the time. And then there was something wrong with me that needed healing if I wasn't. And maybe on an enlightenment level, that's true, but not in the level of the human experience that we're here to have, right? And the truth is that we're actually a communal people, and we need people, and we need connection, and we need intimacy. And when I'm talking about intimacy, once again, I'm not talking about sexual intimacy. I'm talking about being able to just go over to someone and put your head on their shoulder and have them put their arm around you, and for you to be able to go to someone and say, hey, I need a hug, or for you to be able to sit and just hold hands with somebody and not have it mean something. And this is the problem when you're continuously trying to get intimacy and connection to fill a wound, or to like make a pain go away, or to feel okay about yourself and to feel safe in the world, then it's all for the wrong reason. And it's more like a grasping neediness, and you're just taking energy, and maybe you're also pushing your energy onto the other person. But it's not done from a place of just being able to enjoy that connection. And then it becomes something that we can't be without, but for the wrong reasons. So rather than being able to give ourselves that intimacy and connection, and then be able to get it from friends and family in a non-needy, grasping way, we end up going to try and get it from our partner. And then they're trying to get it from us as well. And then it all falls apart, and it ends up becoming this struggle between two people to have life the way they perceive it to be, to have their partner see the life the way they see it, and to make them safe and to give them what they need. But meanwhile, the other partner is trying to do the same. And it's almost like our partner's role just becomes to make us feel okay, to make us feel happy, to make us feel like that distraction when we can't actually be within ourselves, when we can't be with ourselves and we don't even know why. I mean, and unless you've actually started going into this stuff, you don't even know what it is. All you know is that you can't be by yourself, or if you are by yourself, you end up watching telly, or you end up going to the fridge, which is my thing, where I used to go to the fridge and I would end up eating. And I would hate myself for it. So then I'd be exercising, or I'd be reading, just reading, learning, like losing myself in other people's stories, and writing. I wrote all those books to lose myself in that, or scrolling social media. We end up doing these things because we can't just sit and be with ourselves. And one of the things that need brings in as a craving is that intimacy and connection, which we need because we are herd animals. And then we need to get it from our partner. And that's just not fair. So when I was in Tenerife, sorry if I'm going around in circles, when I was in Tenerife, I would come into the kitchen and whoever was there, they would give you their presence. They would give you their attention, and you would go up to them and you would have the most beautiful, heartfelt hug every day. And you would give and get, and you would hold them and they would hold you, and you would make space for them and they would make space for you. And whatever energy was there in that moment was allowed. And it was a really beautiful thing. And to be able to just be with people where you were like, hey, would you like a massage? And they go, yeah, thanks, I'd love a massage. And then this like giving and receiving going on. Just, we'd go to the beach and that was what would happen. People would give massages, or we were going down and swimming, or coming back, or sitting and talking. And it was just really beautiful, not once. And I mean, I don't have a television, so I don't watch television, but not once while I was there in this community did we ever have the need to just put on a television or scroll social media. There was always just being together and being okay with whatever was there with each other. And it wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always happy, happy joy. There was moments of intense sadness when someone was moving through something and we were just being there for them and allowing that. And there was moments, when people, were going through anger, but not directing it at you, just being in it. So it's not always about having to be happy, happy, perfect, and having to then to be like that, having to get what we need to stay in that state from people. It's about being real with who we are and what's there. And one of those things that's being real with is our need for intimacy and connection. So what I want to invite you to do is to have a look at your life. And where do you get intimacy and connection? Is it just from your partner? Is it just from your partner and your children? And do you have a need? Because often what happens, and this is what, if you've listened to my attachment style series, which I don't know, it's back in the 20s, the episodes of the 20s on my podcast and in the videos. Often what happens is that wives who aren't getting their intimacy and connection needs met by their husband try to get it from their children. And then their energy can be overly grasping and needing and really overwhelming for these children. And when I'm working with, especially men, I've got a lot of male clients at the moment. And when I'm working with them, often what we end up going into is the fact that their mother just smothered them, trying to get the love and the attention from the masculine that she wasn't getting from her partner. So where are you getting your intimacy and needs from? And are you meeting them yourself? Are you able to be with yourself and breathe into yourself and sit with what's present and allow it to shift and move through you? And are you able to hold yourself within that and to say, hey, it's okay, we're safe, and hey, you are lovable and you are worthy. And if there is something there, are you able to go and get help shifting it and not just try to make it go away by being active or by being, drowning yourself with, making it go away with alcohol or with food. And I'm not judging any of this stuff, right? Because everyone's an addict, and in society, we all judge the people who chose the bad addictions like alcohol and drugs and pornography and things like that, right? You look at our society, how many people have obviously got a food addiction? All right. And you can say it's like my hormones, or you can say it's this, or you can say it's that. I mean, there's obviously we eat for the wrong reasons, right? We eat because of social situations, or we eat because it makes us feel better, or we eat because it makes us happy. There's like, that's an addiction, right? We have this addiction to the food because when we're eating it, for whatever reason, it's releasing oxytocin in our brain. It's making us feel good, whether it's because we're with a family, or maybe it's not oxytocin, maybe it's dopamine. Okay, so oxytocin is normally released when you're in some sort of family situation, or some community thing, and you're getting your hit of connectivity, right? Eye gazing, you know, produces a huge amount of oxytocin. Maybe it's dopamine. So dopamine is the reward brain hormone. So when you find something, when you achieve something, when you do something, you feel really good about it, that's dopamine being released, right? So when we were eating, like for me, I would eat and then I would have this like, it was like, it's okay. And quite often when I've traced back memories in therapy and gone back to times, it was like, because when I hurt myself or fell over, I was crying, I was offered food. And that was my like, hey, food makes the pain go away, is actually a belief that came up from when I was a really, really young age. So food was my addiction. Working too much was my addiction. I was a workaholic. So I was either work to get that sense of achievement, to feel worthy, to get that dopamine hit from look how good I was. And then when I wasn't doing that, I would find myself gravitating towards the fridge because, hey, now I'm having a break, I can eat something. And then I would be getting my dopamine hit from the food and getting the reward from giving my body food. They're addictions, right? So let's not judge people who have addictions like alcohol. Let's not just say, why don't they just stop drinking, or why don't they just stop taking drugs? Because they can't, because there's a reason that they're doing it and they don't want to be doing it. All right, deep down inside. And they're either going to find their way out of it or they're not. But it's really about going into the pain and the discomfort that's inside and what's there in that discord and disharmony inside that's making them so uncomfortable that they can't be with that. And ironically, the long-term pain of the addiction and actually the program running in the background, they're always in it. And some people won't go into it because they think it's going to be too painful, but it's actually a moment of pain, or a few moments of pain, or a few months of pain, as opposed to a lifetime of pain. And that's what we do with the therapy. We go into the pain and we unravel the energy in the body that's trapped there from these moments in time where these beliefs were formed. And we basically allow the brain to rewire, and these belief systems that are there in the background, creating the programming to be rewritten. And then the need starts to go. The need for the food, the need for the cigarette, the need for the alcohol starts to quieten off because we're not in so much internal pain that we're trying to distract from it all the time. I knew that I was going to go around and around today. I'm so sorry. I was just going to talk about intimacy and connection. But anyway, so for a lot of people, to be able to be with themselves and to give themselves intimacy and connection, it's just not possible because they're in too much internal pain and they need to be getting somebody else to give it to them. So I invite you to have a look at your life. Where are you getting your intimacy and connection needs, and what does it look like? Is it from sex with people? You know, are you continuously on dating apps and the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one? And none of them are ever right? None of them are ever able to give you what you need. Because in reality, we need to be giving ourselves what we need. And when we come in, we have the energy, and then what we will attract is something totally different. Are you getting it just from your partner? Are you getting it from your partner and children, just from your family? Do you have friends that give it to you? And what does it look like? Is it actually being with each other and sharing deep thoughts and having deep conversations and actually allowing that person to be truly who they are without judging them, without telling them what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing or should be thinking or shouldn't be thinking? That was another big one for me. One of the reasons I'm single is because I didn't want to. I mean, it's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is that there was no space for me and what I wanted and what I needed. And whenever I would state, I don't want to be a dentist anymore, which is why I was doing all this stuff, the online stuff and the writing books and, learning marketing and network marketing and then the sales coaching, everything I was doing and training as an analytical hypno coach was trying to get away from dentistry. And whenever I actually stated it out loud, what met with was, oh, I don't know why you don't just be a dentist. You'll make better money that way, or make good money. And then you can just It's like, well, I don't want to do that. It's kind of like this, wow, really missing the picture of what life is about here when we're doing things that we don't want to do. For what reason? Same as staying in relationships we don't actually want to be in. Why? What's the reason? And it wasn't just my husband, it's my father as well. And he's still saying it. I don't know why you don't just be a dentist. I don't want to be a dentist anymore. And is that not enough? And when I say that, why not ask me why not and get curious about me and who I am and what I'm thinking? So, where are we getting our intimacy needs and connections from? And who are you getting them from? And are you being real with people? And are they able to be real with you without you telling them what they should think or forcing your opinion on them? And when you hug someone, do you actually hug them and hold them? And not just like a collarbone little, oh, there you go. But actually hold them body wise and allow your heart and their heart to share energy. Because that is, if you've never had a hug like that, what I call a heart chakra hug, you've never been hugged before. Because that is such a different, beautiful experience to have someone open their heart energy to you and to you open their heart to them and to feel the energy moving between you and to sharing and just being open to them. So, how do you hug? And when you're hugging, what are you getting out of it? Are you just receiving and taking and feeling like, oh, it's okay? Or are you giving and allowing? Or are you just giving? Are you the sort of person who just needs to give? The people who end up pleasing people all the time because they need to feel safe through that. And that's a wounding as well in itself, right? When we go around it and we want to just like make everybody else happy and we sacrifice ourselves within that. That's not healthy either. Because we're not being there for ourselves. We're not being true for ourselves. We're sacrificing ourselves. We're moderation ourselves. And this is, part of what I used to do all the time too. Energetically, time-wise, I would sacrifice myself for everybody else. And it's why I stayed for so long when I wasn't happy, because I was sacrificing myself because I didn't want other people to be unhappy by me leaving. So I invite you once again to have a look at everything and have a think about intimacy and connection, and how can you be more, have better intimacy and connection within your life, with your partner, to actually be connected and not just sitting and watching telly together, not just be scrolling social media together. I mean, you're together. There was something in the beginning that brought you together and it's still there. We're so funny as humans. We get bored with stuff or we get used to stuff, and something that was magical and mystical and amazing initially becomes not. But it still is if we are able to open ourselves up to that and see what it was that was there. Now, sometimes what was there is actually just that our pain was getting taken away, and now it's not. And maybe the person that we're with is not the person that we should be with. So that's an interesting reflection as well. But how can you increase the intimacy and connection in your life? Can you start hugging people more and holding them more and letting them relax, and you relaxing as well into it when you hold someone like that? And then there's a point where you feel them and you feel yourself, and maybe not together at the same time, I'm saying, but you kind of relax into it, release into it, and this tension gets released because of this energy and this connectivity. So can you start hugging people more? Can you have hugs in your family? Maybe have a think about how often do you hug your spouse, your partner, your family, your siblings, and really, really let them know that you're there for them and that you love them. And then look at your friends in the same way. Are you friends with people who bring you joy, or are you friends with people who allow you to feel okay with being where you are because they're in the same situation? Are you friends with people who are expanding themselves in life and are encouraging you to go with them on that journey? Or are you friends with people who are constricted in fear and you all talk about the same stuff? And do you watch television? And if you do, why? I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to watch telly, but is it to distract yourself from what's there continuously? Do you get hooked into watching the news and the negativity, and then do you find yourself getting at that, and then it becomes like this you against the rest of the world? Or when you watch the news, it's like, oh, now I'm safe because I know what's going on in the world. And then have a think about that. What's going on there? What's going on inside that's creating that? Can you just sit and be with yourself, by yourself, and actually love yourself. And can you do this through meditation, or can you just do it and just sit? When you have a coffee in the morning, can you not distract yourself with other things? I mean, how many times have you had a coffee or eaten something and then realized that you didn't even realize you'd eaten it or drunk it? It happens to me still. I get halfway through my meal and go, oh my God, I'm not enjoying it. This part of me is the part of me that's like getting its like oxytocin and dopamine hit for like we're eating, right? That part of me, that program. But the part of me that's enjoying this beautiful meal that I've just made for myself of really healthy food and enjoying the taste and the flavor and the texture, there's a meditation just within eating and being fully present and enjoying. And I guess that's really what I'm inviting you to do with life, to be fully present and to enjoy it. And if you can't, to have a look at why, have a look inside at why. Okay. I hope I didn't lose you. I hope I didn't bore you. And I hope that you got something from this. I will see you next time.